Hi, Justin here from Vocis Digital to offer a simple answer to the question, what is comprehensible input? But first, why do we care what comprehensible input is? Well, because it turns out that one of the most widely agreed upon things among researchers who study how people acquire languages is that comprehensible input is by far the main way it happens. So, what is this comprehensible input that's the most important thing for learning a language? Comprehensible input is communication that someone who's learning the language understands. Put another way, comprehensible input is successful communication. For example, if someone who's learning English sees or hears the sentence, please have your ticket ready, and understands that that means they're supposed to hold their ticket in their hand or have it showing on their phone, comprehensible input has happened. If that English learner is reading or listening to a story and comes across the sentence, Sophie drove into the village, and understands that a person named Sophie entered a rather small town by car, then comprehensible input has happened. And it's repeated instances of that type of in-context comprehension that help the brain connect form, what a language sounds like or looks like, to meaning, which in turn creates and strengthens the neural pathways in the brain that constitute knowing a language. Note that comprehensible input refers to a specific learner in a specific situation. The same poem or song or novella chapter might be comprehensible input for one learner, but not for the learner sitting next to them, depending on whether they understand it or not. So comprehensible input isn't a trait of a text or of speech, it's more like the event of understanding that text or speech. And some people are even starting to use the term comprehended input to get that across. Now, because comprehensible input is so crucial for acquiring a language, and thus for teachers to fulfill our jobs, many teachers make a special effort to ensure that their students are exposed to lots of it. Language instruction like this that's planned with CI in mind is sometimes called teaching with CI, TCI, or acquisition-driven instruction, ADI, because it's about acquiring the language itself as opposed to mainly learning about the language. It could also be called simply research-informed language teaching. This kind of instruction is achieved by a combination of suitable resources and skills that teachers can learn. Different ways to support comprehension, personalization, differentiation, scaffolding, asking strategic questions, checking for understanding, using helpful reading tasks, using images, videos, and other content, and keeping all of that interesting. Because if content and tasks aren't interesting enough, then learners are less likely to keep paying attention to it and thus won't actually be exposed to as much input. So if you're a language teacher, what opportunities and support do your students get from you or from the resources you bring in to be exposed to lots and lots of communication in the target language that they understand in the moment and want more of?